Hey there, it's Tom with Tom's Tech Show. Today we're covering the Orville, and what's the name of the episode? What the heck was the name of the episode? Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, which it was yesterday. So here we go. If you can't tell by now, I shoot these as one shot. I don't do jump cuts or anything like that. I just pull up the microphone, pull up OBS, get my screen set, and just go. That's kind of how I do it. So I don't really like retakes. I don't really like doing things over and over again or jump cutting or anything else. If there's a goof up, if there's a problem, you know, like the cat comes in and goes after the birds and I have to throw something at the cat, whatever, that's just how it is. Okay. So tomorrow, or was it yesterday? It's tomorrow and tomorrow, the Orville episode. So actually I took notes. I don't know if that's good or bad, taking notes as the episode goes on. It gets you really, so you have to pay attention, rewind. And in some ways it's good, some ways it's bad. Some ways it's good in that you have a lot of content for you to make a video, and sometimes it's bad in that you're not just experiencing the episode in its entirety as it is, right? You're not just going to go through it and watch it and be done, right? So I guess it's whichever way. Maybe you can do both, watch it through and then go back and take notes, but this time I was kind of late to the game because it's, you know, kind of, this is like Easter that I'm recording this and stuff, so we're prepping for that and everything else. So just kind of had to go get another car and different things like that. So it's, you know, a stressful time when you're doing this stuff. So anyway, so tomorrow. So we have this temporal device that they're working on, and it kind of, you know, it had some side effects. They went through some kind of graviton thing, some kind of wave or something in space, and now I'm too busy typing things. Okay, so now we have a second Kelly. This is a Kelly that I call it in my notes. I wrote down Kelly -7 because this is a Kelly from 7 years ago. So she kind of doesn't know what's going on, and now we have, you know, people are, it doesn't take very long for them to figure out, okay, well, we've got, you know, two Kellys and what's going on. This one was written by Seth MacFarlane and Janet Lynn, and directed by Gary S. Rake. I don't know how many of has he directed. Let's look it up. How many Orvilles has Gary? Oh, 16. He has directed 16 episodes. So from season 1 all the way to season 2. And he directed, first assistant director. So how many of has he been director? Second unit director, 42 credits. Director, 1 credit. This is his first directorial credit. So he's been assistant director and production manager and stuff, mostly assistant directors. This is his first step into doing a directorship of this episode, and he did really well. I think I really like how things were staged and everything like that. It was really good. So we have, you know, there's all kinds of things that are coming into play, because at the beginning of the episode we have Ed and Kelly, and Ed of course still has this thing for Kelly that he wants to get back together. And then when the Kelly from the past comes up, it's, I guess she's taken right from the day, the like night right after Ed and Kelly's first date. So we have that going on. And so this Kelly from the Kelly -7, she is still ready to keep dating. And through the whole thing, you know, she recreates some nightclub and everything else, and they get, you know, Ed's realizing like, wow, I'm not really into all this stuff anymore, which you do as normal people. Like, you know, I'm not doing the same things I did when I was 25. You know, that was, I'm not going to really say how many decades ago, if I can hide my gray and my beard. But so he's kind of phasing out of that. So he's trying the relationship because he really wants to be with Kelly and all this stuff. Really good, you know, emotional, you know, play outs and different things. And that's what, you know, you want to see. You know, it's a very, very strange kind of love triangle kind of thing that you don't usually get, right, in everyday life, but it's still kind of a triangle there. So, and all through this, we have Kaylon ships trying to chase them down that they're running away from and hiding and everything else. And towards the end of the, you know, we get to the end of the episode and they figure out, oh, we found a way to send Kelly -7 back, and we're going to do that. It's going to take all the power of the ship to get it to do it. So we'll just go for it. We'll do it. So, and then they send Kelly back. But different things that I noticed. I just want to kind of cover here some different things that I noticed from, let's switch to my other screen here. So different things that I noticed from this episode. First, back in the Next Generation days, they were pioneering this two-person using the same actor in the scene with Brent Spiner, because he was Data, he was Lore, he was Noonien Sung. And there were scenes where they had all three of them in the same shot. So, and then they would have them, you know, typically, you know, in your 80s, you'd always need some kind of line in the middle of the scene so that you could, you know, cut the two frames and stuff together. And if somebody walked, and they were even doing this some in Next Generation when they first started, there would be some kind of line, and then the two would be in the scene, and one would walk off the scene, and then the other one would go forward and wait a second, and then, okay, boom, we recut the plate or whatever in, and then they would walk off. So it was kind of, you could see kind of something, we're doing something. As they've moved further in Next Generation with the Data, Lore, Sung scenes, they were able to make it fluid. So it's just like they're just there and they're just there. There was a scene where Data and Lore were together, and Lore pours a glass of champagne, sets it on the desk, on the table, and then Data, like 2 seconds later, picks it up. So that's some good timing and things for where you're cutting and how you're masking this off and everything else. Well, they're doing, again, they're with this episode, it gives them the opportunity in the Orville to do kind of the same thing. So this is the, you know, the Kelly -7, as I'm calling it. And then they're in the, you know, the quarters, the one room here, and they have them walk around each other, and you know it's both of them. You can see both of them, and they're walking past each other, and you can tell it's the same actress. They've just shot it twice, but they've just gotten that good at one of them may be, you know, walking in the shot, walking in front of a green screen or something. And then they're pasting and layering it over. But it's really, really good. And it really adds to the believability of the scenes in this episode, which I really like that. I would like it to be natural. I don't like it when you have to stop and then wait for them to cut the plate or whatever and they're doing and then move on. Right? So later on in the scenes, I was watching it. I'm like, wait. I had to screen grab this because not that those two are in the scene, not that we have Ed and Kelly in the scene and they're talking to somebody else, but back in the back corner on the wall, I'm like, wait a minute. That's actually the Journey Escape album cover on the wall behind them. So I thought that was pretty cool. That was a pretty good throwback. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, you know. And I was able to kind of, that may have been there the whole time. There may be these all over the ship, different album covers that people were putting up all over the ship. That would be interesting, you know, kind of thing. But I'm just like, okay, I like that. That's a good grab. Okay, that's good. All right. Then now here, I am just continually amazed. They did this twice. They were like shaking hands and other things, but how this is the same person looking like in the same room, in the same scene, and they are touching each other, and it does not look like, we're dealing with a double or anything else. It's one of them, either, the Kelly from the present is actually just a person there in a green suit that they're going to mask out, and then they reach out and they cut, there's a fairly good line right here, as that you can see right here at the uniform, that you can see maybe that's where they were able to, cut an arm in or something, but it is so natural and it is so clean that, it just makes me, completely believe it. We are missing, now that I'm looking at it a little bit deeper, we see the reflection off the table of Kermit's feet here. And we kind of see, a little bit of this Kelly's reflection, but we're not really catching an arm reflection here. I mean, it may be further off the table, depending on where it is or not there, but that to me seems kind of a miss, because I can see right here, this part right here, I can see that's kind of the little piece right there where the reflection is. So up here we should see the arm, and they missed that. The effects people missed that. But still, it took me a while just sitting here right now looking at this to actually realize that. I mean, in the scene, as you're going through the scene, you're not going to notice that at all, but it's just that realism, that ability to, sometimes in Next Generation when they would do things like that, it would take you out of the scene a little bit. You'd be like, okay, why is he waiting? You're supposed to be walking off the scene following him. Now you got to pause. Oh, that's right. They got to cut the frame because it's not the same because it's the same person. They got to flip them in and everything else. This was just clean. This was just boom. They're there. They're doing things. They're interacting just like they were actually two people. So that was just really, I really enjoyed that, about how the Orville is taking all these things and taking the risks and using the technology and using the capabilities and the effects of everything, that Next Generation used, and even doing it better. It's just so, so good, just making it real, not, trying to break any illusions. Now, the end of the episode, this is where we need to discuss. This is the discussion. Completely here. I know I'm already 12 minutes in, but this is where we need to discuss ramifications of what happens in the last 30 seconds of this episode. We go all the way through this episode. We have Ed at the beginning of the episode saying he's ready anytime Kelly wants to get back together. So now we have the Kelly -7, and she is, they give her the memory wipe, and they say, okay, we can send you back. We're going to do the memory wipe, send you back. Everything will be fine. You won't remember any of this stuff, so it's fine. And they say, and there's reasoning in being able to send her back and do that with all the risks and everything else, is that the Kelly, present Kelly, doesn't remember any of it. So obviously whatever they did worked. Okay, so the only problem we have here is this is the day after the date, their very first date, when Ed calls her at 9 o'clock in the morning. And originally 7 years ago, they made a second date and went on, got married. Drulio got divorced. And then Ed goes into depression mode, and Kelly kind of has to recommend him and help him get the captaincy of the Orville, and we move on from there. All right, so Kelly -7 goes back, and this time, instead of saying yes to the second date, she says no. What does this do? How does this affect our timeline? I mean, the next episode of the Orville, are they going to address this? Is this going to be suddenly they were never married If they were never married, then they were never divorced, then Ed never went through his depression and never had her help him become captain of the Orville. So if that doesn't happen, does he actually naturally go and get to be captain of the Orville because he doesn't go through all of that? Does he get and marry somebody else and go through a divorce and have the same thing happen? What happens here, right? Kelly would not be on the Orville if she hadn't have, divorced him and had all the incidents and everything back then, because she wanted to make sure and help him because, she feels responsible kind of for what happened and sorry and all this other stuff for everything that happened in the past. Well, no, we don't know. We have no idea. The next episode could be completely different. They've never had a relationship. They've never had anything. We don't know. Whether they're going to address it in the next episode, whether it's going to be something that comes up. Could this be the ability for Ed to have naturally progressed up and gotten the command of the Orville, and then Kelly naturally have also been progressed up and promoted and stuff to just somehow be the first officer of the Orville, and then after that, because now we're in this alternate timeline where she says no, the no timeline, as opposed to the yes timeline, the no timeline, maybe they can then, in the Orville present time, have a relationship that comes up. But Ed's not going to know. Ed's not going to have his feelings from back then because they didn't have because the yes timeline didn't happen. So he doesn't have those feelings from them being married and wanting to get back together for his, remorse over how he treated her when, back then. So where do we go? So the next episode of the Orville, which is going to be the last episode of the season, it's going to be telling. Are we going to get that? Or are they just going to ignore this? What's going to happen? Speculation abound at this point. So we have the yes timeline and the no timeline. Are we going to acknowledge the no timeline? Or are we going to just stay and ignore the no timeline and stay on the yes timeline? Those are my questions. If it gets them together, I guess that's fine. If not, I mean, I don't want to have a what was that show? There's a couple different shows that have done that where they Moonlighting, right? They had the two were separate for a long time and then they got together and it kind of killed the show and stuff because you didn't have the banter tension between them. So I like that banter and tension between them in the yes timeline. Will that same banter and tension be there in the no timeline? Are we even going to address the no timeline? I don't know. So we'll have to wait and see another week. All right. So thanks for watching this one. Getting a little deep with, time travel, paradoxical things and timelines, but it's good. I enjoyed it. I mean, I loved the episode. There was almost no blatant comedy things. I mean, we're getting to where those kinds of things are getting to be less. The comedy is more natural and organic in the shows, and I think they're learning from that, and I think the show is growing and becoming better, and I'm hoping, I mean, the original series was supposed to get a 5-year mission, and I'm hoping that we can get a good 5 years out of the Orville. More would be better, but if we can get up to 5, I'm just like, that will give me, if you get 100 episodes and then throw it into syndication, then we can, watch it all the time and everything else. And then we need merch. We need all the merch. We're getting some merch. We're getting some weird figures, some comic books and things like that, because the next step, once we get to all this and we start getting, action figures like I have up here, 5-inch action figures, maybe 10-inch action figures, things like that, pictures and posters. The next thing that can happen is an Orville convention. That would be, oh my gosh, that would be incredible That'd be so super cool. I would be down for wherever that is. I mean, if they have it here in Los Angeles, because most of them are in LA, I mean, how many people are going to show up to that, right? That's just going to be, that would explode, right? I mean, that would really send a message. You need to keep this show on the air. So anyway, that's it for this one. We're going to do more videos like this about Orville. I do videos about Marvel, any kind of movies that I see. I also do videos about photography. I do videos about my day job, kind of technology stuff. They're all arranged in playlists. So if you're wondering, you know, you're only interested in one of those subjects, just subscribe to the channel and then just go run down that playlist that you like. Like and thumbs up this video and comment, what are your theories? What do you think? Are we yes timeline or are we no timeline? Are we ignoring the no timeline? What's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen in the future with Orville and them be, you know, this now possible different timeline? All right. Well, thanks for watching and take care.